Hi there, Sandra here from Createinspain, and yes, machine embroidery. Now, I was lucky enough to purchase a Janome NC 11000 quite a few years ago. As it happened, I found one in our local media mart. It was one of those offers that it was so good, if you didn't get it then, you knew that this offer was not going to be repeated. I don't think they realised what they had in stock. I honestly don't think they did. So I got it for a very good price. It comes with a few designs on it, but then I ended up with software for it, which I had to pay quite a lot of money for. In fact, I even had to get someone to send it from America for me. The software was brilliant, but there is a slight problem. The software works on a Mac only if you install like a Windows system to it. And yes, I did at the time have access to a spare old Windows laptop. But you know something? The thing that really annoys me with Windows, and one of the reasons why we moved over to the Mac side of things, is the number of updates they do. It seemed that every time I used my laptop at one stage, I had to do an update before I used it. That just drove me and my husband around the twist and back again. So we swapped to Mac. So running this software on Parallels on a Mac was a pain in the neck. And it was a pain in the neck having to have two laptops just so I could have one for my embroidery software. So I did some embroidery for a while, but it just got that I was fed up of this faffing around. Recently I discovered that Inkscape has an embroidery software plugin, which I had no idea it did. I thought, well, why is this not shouted about from the rooftops? Why? Because all embroidery software is pretty pricey. Inkscape is free. It works on Windows, it works on Mac. The plugin is free. It works on Windows, it works on a Mac. I will say that the plugin is a bit of a pain to install on a Mac, because Macs will say, nah, don't recognise this software, it might have malware, and so you have to go through a couple of little steps to get round there and allow it to use it. If you don't know what you're doing on a Mac, just get someone who does know their way around a Mac to sort it out for you. It's simple, it took my husband all of 2 minutes, but it does need a little bit of a workaround. Okay, but after that, it will run on your Mac just fine. So I needed to test it out, and I decided I would try and do a little embroidery patch because, well, I haven't got any garments to embroider per se, and I thought that if I did something like this, I could maybe put it on a bag later or make it into a keychain even. So yeah, that's what I decided to do. So this is a design that because I am so confident with my iPad, I actually drew this in Procreate and exported it as a PNG. And then I did what I normally do. I put it into Shortcut Slot. But this is only because I know Shortcut Slot like the back of my hand, and it's quicker for me to do it that way. So I put it into Shortcut Slot to make the individual elements and then exported it as an SVG. Because I'm doing this as a patch, I decided to literally sew my design onto some embroidery backing, the first line. So it's a running stitch line for the embroidery backing. That allowed me to know exactly when it was stitched out where my design was going to be. And then I placed a piece of white craft felt over the top, stitched that line again, and then cut around it with a pair of scissors. These, because it's easier to get to something with those, so I use those. Now I could, if I had been bothered, cut out the felt with my cutter. I didn't do it, it's a relatively simple shape. And I then added an offset for my satin stitch around the outside. Now, I probably wouldn't have offset it or I probably shouldn't have bothered to offset it, because there is the little gap. I put a 1mm offset and there is a 1mm gap. And the reason I put it there is I wasn't sure if it would go over the edge of the strawberry a bit too much, because I think it was a 3mm satin stitch around the outside edge for this design. So it was simply an offset, the shapes, the seeds and the leaf there. And so I put that into Inkscape ink stitch and told it what colours I wanted it to do each particular shape, and yeah, went from there. I didn't do any adjusting to the normal parameters of the program, apart from trimming the lines between these seeds. I've done nothing else to it, and I haven't even trimmed the back, as you can probably see. So I'm going to take this out of here now. And my hope is that I will be able to tear away the backing and just leave the stitching with the felt ground on it. That's what I'm hoping I should be able to do. And lo and behold, that works like a charm, doesn't it? Okay. Now I did have a little error here. That's my design fault, not the fault of the stitching program, I hasten to add. I saw it when I went to stitch it and I thought I can't be bothered to adjust the nodes, so I didn't bother. Because this was a test to see whether this was going to work out or not. And I can always sew it again. A bit of fluff just there. And I've got my threads, so I need to trim those. A little bit there. I've got some little fluffy bits. Well, I'm pretty impressed. That's not bad at all. Now the restrictions with the Inkscape ink stitch is that you only have a standard fill. You don't have lots of fancy stitches, which I did on my other software, or I do on my other software when I want to use it. But other than that, it's pretty good. It doesn't have the same kind of settings. Like my software has things like, you know, if you want to do an applique, it will divide things into the layers for you. With this, you have to do it manually, layer by layer yourself. But considering it's free, if you don't do that much embroidery, but you just want to do a bit every now and again, then, you know, if you have an embroidery machine ready and you're not using it because of the faff with setting up the software, then this might well be an alternative for you. And as I said, it's totally free. Now, for someone to have put that much work in to make a program and for it to be completely free, thank you very much. That's a very nice thing to do. And I'm very happy with my little strawberry. In case you're wondering which threads I used for this, I like to use Gunold, or Gunold, I don't know how they pronounce it. It's a thread that a lot of professionals use, and I was able to buy it online, and I bought a whole load of them a few years ago. Okay, so if you want to see any more videos on machine embroidery and that sort of thing, then let me know, or indeed on how to use the ink stitch software, and I'll see what I can do for you.